This week was an emotional week around the world of sports. From the postponement of games throughout the NBA, MLB, and NHL, we saw the Bucks do something that really hasn't been done by an NBA team since 1961. The MLB playoff race is as hot as ever, and the NHL is almost down to its final stretch. And last but not least, college football is back. All that coming up next with your hosts, Andrew Hale and Jotham Israel. But first, an important message from our amazing sponsor, Anchor.
Anchor is a completely free and easy to use platform for podcasting. A computer or even a mobile device with a functional internal or external microphone is all you need to start recording your podcast with Anchor. When you do finish recording your podcast audio, you can simply edit it and upload it to the biggest podcasting platforms like iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and more. If you were like me and you didn't have the foggiest clue on how to start a podcast, then Anchor is the perfect place to start. For more information, go to anchor.fm on the web or download the Anchor app on your mobile device.
This past week, we saw something very, very powerful done by the Bucks, Jotham. I really want to know your thoughts and opinions on the whole situation.
You know what? I feel like I was a bit dense to this situation at first because I'm thinking to myself, well, the Raptors and the Celtics are talking about boycotting their game one. And I'm like, hmm, that's very interesting. I mean, I never would have thought of a protest like that in terms of, not playing a playoff game. I would have never thought to do that. Not saying that I do not agree with the move. I 100% love their initiative that they took, but I was just shook by, you know, how critically they were thinking about this. I couldn't believe it when I saw that though all the games actually did get postponed and the playoffs actually had to take a break, not just from the NBA but throughout all the world of sports. But man, started with the hometown Milwaukee Bucks, man, big boy impact.
Yeah, it was like a domino effect. We were hearing stuff from other teams, but then the Bucks never showed up on court, and then the Thunder Rockets game never happened, and then eventually the Lakers Trailblazers game never happened. So it was a very interesting domino effect. And then we heard about the meeting that went on inside of the bubble and how the Lakers and the Clippers they didn't even want to restart.
Oh no, that would have been a very interesting transpiration if both of those teams decided to just leave the bubble and forfeit their respective series. That that just would have been it wouldn't have felt right. It really would not have felt right, you know?
No, it wouldn't have. But the situation is probably bigger than sports. It is bigger than sports. So I wouldn't have been mad at the Lakers. I would have understood.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those two teams. I mean, I was thinking to myself, okay, these two teams may look like absolute rivals and super teams on paper and on the court, but in real life, they those rivals turn into best, comrades, and they were ready to pull the plug and go fight for social justice. That stuff hit me, bro. The fact that the Lakers and the Clippers, two of the league's most popular teams, the fact that they actually thought about pulling the plug and leaving the bubble and not playing any more games and basically saying screw the playoffs, we're fighting for social justice. The fact that that was in play was enough to have any fan of the NBA shook.
Yeah, and that was just something that we haven't seen since 1961. And in 1961, Bill Russell and his Celtics, they also boycotted their game to try and gain social justice, and that was very interesting because
Hmm.
this seemed like the first time this has ever happened, but in reality, it wasn't. So I feel like this is just where the world is at this point in time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like if it doesn't feel like it's I mean, it feels like it's the first because well, this is our generation, and it's like such a big gap between such a huge world events and stuff like that. This stuff is you don't see this stuff every year, let alone every decade, and it's just like I mean, all this stuff is happening in 1 year. It's crazy how all this historical stuff is happening in 1 year. Some stuff you haven't seen since the 20th century, since the 60s, like you said. But we're getting a pandemic, two cases of huge racial and social injustice spars, and then we get weird sports transpirements. It's crazy, man. This year, I know we've been saying this since what, April, but man, this year is gonna go down in the books.
Yeah, it definitely is. But we saw the Bucks boycott their game, but also in the MLB we saw the Mets and the Marlins actually come onto the field for about 40 seconds, and then they decided to not play the game, and all of the players came off the field, and they boycotted the game.
Yeah, and you know what really hits home about it, man? That stuff they were basically celebrating Jackie Robinson Day. The 42 t-shirts, the
Mm.
42 jerseys, and I was just like, wow, the fact that they're gonna protest these games, it felt it felt kind of, wholesome, because it was like this this is why, you know, people pay attention to stuff like this, and they have to, speak, their mind, especially when they're athletes. Because Jackie Robinson Day, that's obviously a very, very important day, not just in MLB history, but in history in general,
Yeah.
because it was like it has so much it has so much significance behind it, especially, after what the players did when the Astros and the Athletics said they weren't going to play, and they placed the 42 T-shirt on the home plate. That made us that was a statement, and I had never seen, any domino effect like this in sports. It's crazy. Like they just we're gonna stop playing for a couple of days, and then we're gonna take our time to relax. But we are going to get our justice. We're gonna get our justice. We're gonna keep playing, but we're gonna get our justice. So it's amazing, man. It really is amazing. But I I have to question to myself: are sports really an escape at this point? Because it feels like this keeps happening. Stuff like this keeps happening, and players have to keep speaking up about the same exact problem. Is it really an escape at this point?
I think it is. I mean, you saw Giannis before Game 5 against the Magic last night, and he was tearing up. So I feel like this truly is an escape for players, and they play to show the world that things can hopefully change, and they're doing their best to prove why they can.
Yeah, definitely. And then the fact that Giannis had his Bucks and his opponent, the Magic, the fact that those two teams, that was a very emotional game. That was the first game since the restart, as I like to call it. Pre-game, they had to honor three people that died. I had never seen a pre-game ceremony where they had to honor three people, not one, not two, but three different people that had died recently. I'm
Mhm.
just sitting here like, oh my gosh, this does not look like NBA pregame to me. It felt so sad, and it's just like, dang, man. And one of those people wasn't even, deeply like had a job in the NBA. Chadwick
Yeah.
Boseman still had his impact on the NBA, especially, a couple years ago, dunk contest.
Yep.
Victor Oladipo had that had him assist him in a dunk. I was like, whoa, that's cool. And then we don't even need to talk about the impact that he made while battling cancer with the movies and the iconic moments and stuff like that. Like, it's crazy, man. This stuff is crazy. But the Bucks and the Magic, I can tell that emotion was running high, man.
The entire game just showed what's going on in the world because we saw no fans. You mentioned that they were honoring three people that died recently, and they were just coming back from a 2-day break. So if that game was basically 2020 in a nutshell.
hmm Especially within the NBA, because it's like you just can't find a way to properly finish this season. You just it just there's always something that's gotta happen in the NBA, in the world of sports, in the world, that just prevents them from finishing the season on a somewhat high note. But dude, speaking of high notes, man, I want to talk about a note that is kind of, well, I don't know if it's high or low. It's kind of a little bit of both, but I'm saying that the broadcasting game is changing as well. For good and for bad. I will start with the bad because the bad is it is jaw dropping to me because some of these guys that come out here and say these things, it really makes me want to change the game even more when I try to become a sportscaster. Some of these things that these guys say, it's just straight up wrong, Drew.
Yeah, especially like they learn how to become broadcasters and they learn not to say certain things on air, or in this case, I guess, quote unquote off air. But like you got to think, do these guys even think before they speak? I don't think so.
I don't know either. And I'm just sitting here listening to the Reds pregame live. And I'm just like, wait, did I hear that right? Did he just take a direct shot at a certain group of people like that? I I was just like, okay, something is definitely not right here because number one, your father is a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Even he had his own slip up, although he was basically trash talking a fan base and not a whole social, cultural group. Number two, you've been in the broadcasting game for 33 years. You've been a broadcaster longer than you've been a normal person. Come on. I mean, I'm just sitting here like, bro, all the experience, all the games that you have done, do you not understand that you cannot do that, say something like that during work, during and I'm just especially during social and cultural and injustice fights. I mean, there's so much injustice out there and you go out and broadcasters are saying the dumbest things now, not 3 years ago, although there might have been some that said some things, but now, especially now, why? Why are you saying stuff like this that will divide us even more right now? It doesn't make sense, Drew. Something has got to change. Something has got to change within these broadcasting teams. And I saw one thing that I heard somebody say that it was, I think it was a writer for a certain newspaper.
Okay.
Somebody said that you have got to start changing your broadcasting teams in your group. It should not be a bunch of old white men gaining all the big opportunities and stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, ooh, that's kind of right.
Yeah, that's very interesting because we really haven't seen a a lot of diversity in the broadcasting game. I mean, recently we did see something pretty spectacular. The
Hmm.
Seattle Kraken, the future new expansion team in the NHL, they hired Everett Fitzhugh on August 7th, making him the NHL's first black team broadcaster. And that's spectacular coming over from the Cincinnati Cyclones. I'm really excited and proud of the Seattle Kraken.
Oh yeah, definitely. It sends a message. Not to mention that they are skyrocketing in terms of merchandise already. The Kraken, they have done a tremendous job of making a name for themselves, even though they are just a year away, one season away from their inaugural season in the NHL. I feel that's a big accomplishment. That says something, not just in the hockey world, because hockey, black hockey broadcast is already rare enough as it is. But the fact that he is the first team broadcaster, I mean, that's amazing. And it's just like, obviously, the NHL is predominantly, non-black.
Yeah.
So it's always an accomplishment when a black man can get any type of, high, position job within hockey. It's always amazing, and it's something that I strive to try to do. Although I might be a bit better calling football and baseball and basketball, I do want to try to call hockey games. I just got to learn all the penalties and the all the icings and stuff. I always get confused on what icing really is. I can never tell. It's like 55 or 50-50 thing.
It's funny because if you've ever listened to an NHL broadcast while you're in the car, the radio announcers do such a great job of making you feel like you're actually watching the game. They say certain things that just allow you to picture what's going on, and it's really impressive too because they have to speak so fast because hockey is such a fast-paced game. It's really
Hmm.
spectacular, if you ask me.
Yeah, it really is, man. And this, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of benefits me as well. Cause look, man, obviously I'm a black man. I obviously there's a little chip on my shoulder when it comes to getting high jobs, moving up the ranks and stuff like that. I feel like I feel like this makes my chances of being a sports broadcaster even that much greater.
Hmm. Why so?
I gotta say because I'm seeing the hiring of Everett, and I'm just like, okay, this man just got a major position, and then I'm seeing more and more minorities in the broadcasts, and it just makes me feel confident that I can get in there and be the number one day, and obviously I know for a fact that I won't say anything stupid like some of the league guys have. I like there's people that will be behind me waiting for me to slip up. I'm not slipping up. And so I've seen enough of the bad comments to say, okay, I'm keeping my mouth shut until I am completely away from the premises of the broadcast.
And that's probably smart. I still don't get how these guys could say something so insensitive on air. It makes no sense to me.
It really doesn't, man. But enough of the bad stuff, man. Let's get into some of the good stuff. I cannot believe I am saying it in August, but college football is back.
Yeah, it is, and I'm ready because last night we saw a very exciting game between Austin P and Central Arkansas. What a game. What a first game.
Yeah, it was very, very exciting. What a great reintroduction into college football. And it's a great sign, too, because it shows that, college football can be played. Although still very well question the timing. As a fan, from a fan's perspective, you are just glad to have college football back on your television screen. Although you can't hear all the very as loud and as clearly as you can in the
Mhm.
past, it's still something to marvel at, you know?
Yeah, and I it's going to be really interesting to see how the season transpires because recently a headline has come out that the Big 10 was actually contemplating a Thanksgiving week return, but if that again doesn't happen, they're still aiming for around January.
Wow. See, my thing about starting it on Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving week, is you're gonna start it in the winter, in the thick of flu season, where you probably can't differentiate the flu from the cold from the virus as well as you can when it's hot outside. Uh, I mean, if the Big Ten is confident that they can get some testing going, then go right on ahead. Be my guest. Like I said, fans' perspective. I love. I'm definitely welcoming it, especially since my favorite team is in the Big Ten, and so is yours. But you know, seriously though, the Big Ten, I mean they've been facing a lot of heat lately, so they had to at least get some sense of compensation in.
Yeah, I'm guessing that may even be just a headline to make fans excited if it happens or doesn't. But like you said, I'm here for it if it does return. I'm looking forward to college football being back.
Yeah, definitely, dude. College football, I I couldn't believe it when I saw it on my television screen. I was like, wait, what? Freaking Guardian Credit Union FCS kickoff. Dude, at this point, I don't even care if it's FBS, FCS, AND, REW, JOT, HAM, FBS division. I don't care what type of division it is. If any type of college football is good enough for me right now. Even though I don't know a single name on the staff, on the rosters, I don't even sometimes you don't even know what the school you never even heard what the school was before you turned that game on. It doesn't matter at this point. The fact that the game is back is enough for me to turn you on.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw a pretty. It wasn't. We saw two teams that we weren't familiar with last night, but next Saturday, there are some games that are I would say somewhat intriguing, definitely more intriguing than last night. But we have like teams like Army, Middle Tennessee, ugh. Uh, uh, SMU playing like there are some potentially exciting games going on next week.
Oh yeah, definitely. In September, I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna save this for the next episode, but I'm telling you, man. September is going to be a loaded month when it comes to sports. Absolutely loaded.
Yeah, it sure is because for your HF Voyager story, our school newspaper, you are actually writing a story on how this will be very odd that all major sports will be playing at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Plus college football too.
Yeah.
That stuff is crazy, man. And on a high school level too. We can't even forget about the high school level, dude. I literally got an email a couple days ago say, and then the guy that is the head of VTV, all the broadcast and stuff, bro. He came and told me that we our work is in high demand. Sports broadcasters are in high demand now that there are no fans, dude. We are wondering if we can rely on you to call some of the games. I said, what? Are you kidding me? And right, I'm like, whoa! I couldn't believe it, dude. So I was like, oh yeah, let me snatch this opportunity real quick. Even though the only games I would be calling would probably be cross country, golf, tennis, and swimming, I'll take anything I can get at this point because more sports means more art, more wide array of sports on my arsenal.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, the more experience, the better, you know?
Yeah, definitely, dude. I'm definitely not complaining at all, dude. But weirdly enough, even through all the weird stuff, the NBA playoffs are back. It was very emotional, like we said earlier, but uh, it's back, and well, it it wasn't exactly the closest of games. A couple of them were blowouts, but the Blazers put up a good fight with no Damian Lillard and Hassan Whiteside with the injury. They put up a really really good fight in their last game, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was supposed to be. I mean, actually, I was gonna say it was expected that they'd put up a good fight, but again, they did not have Damian Lillard. So yeah, you are definitely right. They did put up a pretty impressive fight. I mean, it's hard to win a game when you don't have Damian Lillard and you're going up against LeBron James, Anthony Davis. So yes, they did put up a good fight, but Russell Westbrook is back for the Rockets, and the Thunder, like, they didn't know what to do with a James Harden and Russell Westbrook matchup. So it should be interesting to see how the Thunder respond the rest of the series.
Yeah, dude. Hope I mean they it's either win two games or you're gone at this point. And I'm sitting here watching the game, and I'm just like, what are you what? It was just like a 3 point game at halftime, man. What happened? And I see the third quarter, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. For one, Schroeder got ejected,
Yeah.
and Tucker did too. But I think Dennis Schroeder makes a bigger impact on the Thunder than Tucker does on the Rockets. That's
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I know Tucker is really tough and stuff like that, but Schroeder, really great player off the bench. He and Chris Paul were going crazy the past two games when they won those two games, but they gonna really need to hop in their bag for these last two games because freaking Westbrook is back, and that's not gonna be good news. Um, in terms of their success and in terms of my prediction, because I said OKC in seven, you said Houston in six. Uh, there is a middle point where the Rockets can win in seven, which oh wow, that would be fitting. But um, uh, yeah, this is tough. It's always tough to watch these type of games, man. I hate watching games that just turn into a blowout in the third quarter because I'm thinking in going in the fourth quarter, is it even going to be worth watching at this point? Because I already know who's going to win.
Yeah. That is a really good point because not you don't see really big fourth quarter comebacks most of the time. So you're definitely right with your assumption saying that it was probably over in the third quarter. And that I was really surprised because I didn't watch most of the game, but I saw that it was close at the beginning of the third quarter, And then like I look at the score maybe 5 or 10, 15 minutes later, and then it's like a blowout. I was like, what happened? So it's crazy how a game can just switch up in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, two, three of them can all is all that you need to make like a 15-0 run or something like that. They can just put the game away. It's crazy, man. But I didn't really expect the Magic to put too much of a fight against the Bucks. I really just wanted the series to be over. It was such a long hangover. I already said Milwaukee in five. Just give me my precise prediction on the board and stuff. Just let's just end this right here. Although I love my Magic, I would have loved to see them push it to a game six. But well, I mean, we already knew the series was over. We knew it was over.
Yeah, it's weird because obviously you want the Magic to keep on fighting, but then let's say they won last night, then you would have gotten your hopes up just for them to lose the series. So like it was basically a lose lose situation. So the
Yeah.
best case situation was that they probably lost because I promise you did not want to get your hopes up just for them to get shut down by Giannis.
No, I did not. I didn't want Giannis to do the same thing to me that he did to you last year.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
I can tell. I'm glad I can hear it as a story and not as a personal experience.
Hey, at least you got to win. At least you got to win.
Yeah, I gotta win. I can build off of it. Now we just need to build off of Vucevic and Fultz
Yep.
and get our guys healthy. But man, we got a couple of crucial game sixes coming up today, man. Clippers, Mavericks. Whoo! Luka's gonna have to hop in his bag because Kristaps Porzingis is out for the rest of the series.
Dude,
Yee.
a meniscus tear. I mean, honestly, I'm not too surprised because obviously he missed the past few games with a knee injury, and when there's like an unknown reason why you're missing games and it's because of a knee injury, you got to think something's pretty bad is wrong. I mean, obviously, meniscus tear is not as bad as an ACL, but still it's not the best thing, especially in a restarted season. So that's a massive loss for the Mavericks. And you're right, Luca definitely has to put on a show similar to what he did earlier in the series. So I mean
Mhm.
that's really the only thing that the Mavericks have left, really.
Yeah, I mean, and Luka's already a little beaten up enough as he is. Although he's had a little time to, get a little healthier. I mean, you. Let's get this straight. You lose Luka, you lose the series.
Yeah.
Let's get that out the way. But looking at the Clippers, I mean, they obviously have been. This obviously have to be an emotional game for them because obviously they were ready to get out the bubble. They were ready to quit. They were ready to stop this series and go back to their community and protest for social justice. They were ready. Now they got to turn back and face Luca and a decent Mavericks team that has put up a really good fight in this series and probably, in my opinion, probably the most entertaining series, especially with the Game
Yeah.
Four buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Um, the Mavericks. I mean, if they want to win two in a row, Luca's got to go for like 30 or 40 with a triple double again. He's
Yeah.
gonna have to do some crazy things.
Yeah, and honestly, it seems like at the beginning of the series, the Clippers were very inconsistent. Some games you would see Paul George do somewhat decent, and then other games you'd see him be complete garbage. So tonight, it will really, really show who's playing well because if you see the Clippers down big, it's probably because Paul George is not performing well. And I feel like that is the main key. Obviously, Luka has to play well, but if Paul George does not become his normal self, he is the Clippers are in big trouble in my opinion.
That's a very good opinion because Paul George has been a little up and down. He started the series with 27 points, then he really got himself into a shooting slump. Lowest point was where he had 9 points in a game that went to overtime. Yikes. That was bad. And then that was just a terrible game for Paul George in general. Not you dropped 9 points in the playoff game. You got sent off the court by another buzzer beater on your team's head. It wasn't on your head this time, it was on Reggie Jackson's head, but still, it was against your team, Paul George. And then a report came out that he was fighting depression, which that's some that when an NBA player says he's battling depression, that's something serious. I feel like the athletes have a right to have a human mind, of course.
Hmm.
Obviously, I mean, if Paul George is having a shoot, if that's the reason that Paul George was having a shooting slump, fans should not scold him about it. They should not be on this man about that. Um, I'm glad he, clarified why he, couldn't. Well, I won't say why he couldn't play at his highest level, but why he was, seemingly not himself on and off the court. So it was good to hear that he was all right.
Yeah, and that is a very good point because most sports fans they don't really think of their favorite player as a human being. They just think of them as a player who comes out and plays every single day. So that is a really good point, bringing up that Paul George is a person and he does have a mind. So again, yeah, fans probably shouldn't be too upset with him because he's dealing with some very, very important things. So I mean, again, this is a very big game, and I think it will determine a lot. But another big game, we got the Nuggets and the Jazz. What's gonna happen? We need the Nuggets to win.
Oh man, you know what? At this point, I don't really care at this point if I'm right or wrong. I stopped caring after Game 4. Like not to say that the series is over. The Nuggets can definitely come back from 3-1, but the series has been so entertaining, such a good series. I really don't care if I'm right or wrong at this point. I really do not. Even though we both picked the Nuggets to advance, I honestly do not care. Donovan Mitchell's my favorite player in the league. I've wanted the Jazz to step up for a few years now, and I'm finally seeing it. Although it's come at a very bad time against the team that I picked to win the finals. Um, you know, the series has been so good. Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell have been so great, so historically great. It's the young talent in this league is so crazy to marvel at, and these two guys are gonna have their times. This is game 6, man. Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he's been in this position before. He's been in the position where he's up 3-1. He loses game 5 and then goes on to win game 6. He's been in that position before. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz won this game because of that experience. But shoot, the Nuggets can sure come back from that 3-1 deficit if Jamal Murray keeps this up.
Yeah, this has really reminded me of 2016 LeBron for Steph Curry. Honestly, both of these players night after night have been going berserk. Once you get either of them hot, there's literally no stopping them. And I have really enjoyed the series as well. As much as I want the Nuggets to win. I would not be mad if they lost because it's pretty understandable why they have been losing because Donovan Mitchell has been out of his mind, and this definitely is his breakout. Would you call this? See, I mean, he broke out during the bubble, so he popped the bubble, and now he's leveled up into a superstar player, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely, man. He was already the face of the franchise before the bubble happened, but dude, he's now becoming a franchise cornerstone. This dude, like you said, he's been going berserk. The dude dropped 50 twice in a playoff series. My man's Donovan Mitchell has been going absolutely crazy, and it's going to be, dude, whoever the Clippers face in the next round. I mean, this is the thing I love about the Western Conference. You are the 2 seed and you are getting absolutely no breaks at all. It's not like you can just take your foot off the gas. You can quite frankly say the same thing about the Lakers, but injuries to Damian Lillard, it kind of dimmed it down just a little bit. But dude, regardless, it doesn't matter if you're a top 2 seed, if you're a top 3 seed, you're going to get a challenge in the Western Conference. That is Western Conference NBA basketball.
Yeah, and honestly, the NBA Finals is up for grabs. Neutral court, neutral setting. Anyone could win it, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, dude. It's a toss up at this point. It really is a toss up. And I'm ready for it. I'm open for it. Especially after seeing the very predictable Eastern Conference with 3 sweeps and well, an unofficial sweep. I'll call it that because I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect the Magic to take Game 1,
Yeah.
maybe Game 4 when the series is already over, but not Game 1. But other than that, they were swept. So we're gonna count that as 3.5 sweeps in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was almost crazy to me. I didn't expect that at all. But I am looking forward to I think the best series in the East will be the Heat versus Bucks. I feel like the Heat might be able to steal that.
Yeah, I had the Heat still in that. So OG Heat believer right here.
Yeah.
No, just playing. But yeah, seriously, that's going to be a great series to watch. Although I think Celtics Raptors is going to be better. Yeah, I feel like both of those series. Every time the Eastern Conference goes into its second round, it's always interesting. It is always intriguing. First round is always warm up, but second round, that's when things start to get real
I
juicy.
agree. I definitely agree. And I think we really saw that a few years ago when it was Celtics and Cavs, and the Celtics got oh so close to knocking off LeBron. We saw Jason Tatum against LeBron, and that was a fantastic series. And I
Hmm.
I I feel like we should expect more of that this year.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Especially consider like we knew as soon as LeBron left the East, it was going to be wide open for the top teams. Wide open.
Yeah, and it seemed almost that after LeBron left, then we heard the name Giannis Antetokounmpo. I really think so because before, I honestly, he wasn't a superstar. After LeBron left,
Mm-mm.
now he has been the face of the East. So it's crazy what can happen after LeBron leaves your division. So
Yeah, not even just your conference, your whole division. That's that I'm sure the entire Eastern Conference was like, oh,
yeah,
thank you. That's hilarious, and I think that's gonna be an indirect meme for years to come. But
hey, I
dude,
would be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. I was just about to say. But hey, man, speaking of surprises, you know what? I've been really. It's been a nail biting NHL series. NHL second round for me. Very uh roller coaster ish. Because last Sunday was not a good day for me. It was not a good day for me at all. The Bruins beat the Lightning. The Canucks absolutely got blasted by the Golden Knights, and the Jazz beat the Nuggets. So I was just like, oh my gosh, my prediction magic has absolutely fizzled out on me. It was bad.
So right now, you and I are doing pretty well with the Flyers and Islanders pick. Honestly, I the Islanders should be up 3-0, but you know, I'm happy with my Golden Knights pick. They won 3-0 last night. But the Bruins, I come on. Come on. I didn't pick you because I liked you. I picked you because I thought you could beat the Lightning, and you haven't done that.
Yeah, you want to know what's funny about this dude? Now watch the Bruins come back from 3-1 after I say this.
Please
You know what's funny
say
about
it.
this,
Say it.
man? Okay, okay. It's funny because as soon as I knew Bruins Lightning was the matchup, I knew you were gonna pick the Bruins because you hate the Lightning more, and I knew I was gonna pick the Lightning because I hate the Bruins more. That's just complete comical contradiction right there.
Yeah, and I haven't even watched one game of the series because I don't want to. But I have seen the aftermath and texts from multiple different people with a
Oh,
lightning emoji every time they beat the Bruins. So I'm definitely alone out here, and it's not looking good since the Lightning are up 3-1.
yeah, don't worry. I only did it to you one time, so you know, I can't. Yeah, dude, you're getting a lot of backlash. It's been bad, dude. Game two, it seems like after that loss in game two, it's just like they have absolutely been deflated. I mean, deflated. That like you said, playoff hockey overtime series can change in an instant, right there and then,
Yeah.
right there and then. The Bruins could have been up 2-0. They could have had a 2-0 cushion.
Yeah, they definitely could have. It's just it's crazy how much can change in a matter of games. I know we've said that through the NBA and the MLB, but like we saw the Bruins lose in overtime. Next game they lose 7-1. 7-1. Why are you in the playoffs if you aren't going to compete? Please, this isn't fun anymore.
It caught me off. It caught that game caught me so off guard. Game three was such a bad game for the Bruins. I was like, is this the Boston Bruins team that I'm used to watching? This is not the Boston Bruins team that I'm used to watching. I'm used to seeing the Bruins. go out and just momentum shift on every single team that I like. And it's just like, wha- this is so bad. And I'm seeing the goaltenders having a conversation in the locker room during the break, and I'm just like, whoa, the man's is just a he's just a young dude filling an interview after you allowed 4 goals. Dude, chill out. Oh my gosh, that it was beautiful to watch for me, but I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, if you're a Bruins fan, you have got to be splitting your hairs right now.
Yeah, you got to be disappointed. And the Bruins, they aren't that ferocious bear anymore. They are a cub. They are a cub, and I think the series is over. So, great pick by me. Thanks, Lightning, for nothing. Thanks, Bruins. I will never root for you again. I promise. Um, the Golden Knights, though, 2-1.
Yeah, at least you have that.
I was surprised by the Golden Knights. Honestly, I did not expect them to lose Game 2, but you know they won Game 3, so it's all right.
You know what? I mean, we have 3 crucial game 4s that can really determine the series. It's all 2-1. No brooms yet. Not until the conference finals, maybe, but no brooms. All the series are close, and these game 4s are really going to determine, the magnitude of the series. It's really going to be shifting because obviously it's a difference between a series being tied 2-2 and being down 3-1.
Mm.
Big difference.
Yeah,
Um,
scratch that. The Golden Knights wasn't surprising. The Stars and Avalanche was, and I was not expecting the Stars to be leading the series going into Game 4. Were you?
Well, not really, but I mean, I wasn't completely surprised, but the fact that they went up 2-0, that's what caught me off guard. I didn't expect them to beat the Avalanche like that in the first 2 games, but the Avalanche looked like they got back to their normal selves. So let's just see if they can regain that momentum. But like I said, that's a trio of game 4s. That's part of a trio of game 4s that are going to be so crucial. I'm NBC all the way tonight. Whew. Wow. I'm telling you, a lot of our predictions and our little mini rivalry with these predictions are going to lie on this very slate of games.
Yeah, and you picked a bunch of bold picks, but right now are the ones that we did agree on. They aren't doing too bad, honestly.
No, they're not really, and the Avalanche still have a chance to crack open.
Yeah.
So it's just the Bruins, Lightning, Golden Knights, and Canucks that we are
Yeah.
butting heads about. Now, if one of us would have swept the other, it would have been bragging
Yeah.
rights for the rest of the until the conference finals. It would have been big bragging
Hey,
rights.
but we'll take a competitive series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Bruins Lightning. Thanks for being so competitive. Dude, I'm upset. It's too.
I can't believe that was actually that lopsided, especially after I said, you know what, this is why I should become a coach. Because as soon as I peep a team not playing their type of game and they're getting beat, I say something and they listen to me from miles away. International hearing, baby. Let's go.
I don't know how it works. Can you please say the Bruins? I just want. I can they be somewhat competitive? Maybe they'll win. Maybe they'll win Game 5.
Yeah, maybe they win game 5. And if they win game 6, I'm going to be kind of shivering a little bit. They make game 7 a close game. Oh, yeah, you're going to be on me for the next 2 weeks.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
happens
going
when
to
you
be
pick the Lightning, man.
bad. Your second, your second least favorite team in the
Yeah,
league.
probably. Honestly, yeah. The Blackhawks won, Lightning 2, Bruins 3.
Yeah, okay, there we go. But yeah, dude. I mean, interesting playoff races, man. It's absolutely insane, man. But let me talk about the MLB real quick because obviously the season's going by a little fast, and a lot of things have been happening, especially with the postponements of games and the boycotts. But Athletics and Astros, they're not going to play again, and it's not because of protests. It's because, oh boy, here we go. Somebody in the Oakland organization tested positive.
I did see that, and it's kind of funny because in our second episode, we said that we saw positive outbreaks in the East and in the Midwest, and if it hit the West, we will have some problems. And I think we're just two geniuses because we kind of called it.
Yeah, dude. I sure did forget I said that. Oh my gosh, dude. This is see. This is the thing about trying to play a normal as normal of a season as you possibly can. Now you're trying to think of a playoff bubble, but dude, traveling from home to doing all this traveling, you know the MLB is the longest season and probably in my opinion the most tiring season in all professional sports. 162 games, only like maybe 1, 2, 3 off days per month. You're playing a game almost every single day, and it's just like, dude, like you're on the move all the time, and it's just like that is so tiring. Even though you're there for 3 game series, 4 game series, and then you're on to the next city in the next 3 days, dude. Still, that stuff is very 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 tiring.
Yeah, especially in the West, because when they were first announcing the seasons, they said that teams in the West would have to travel the furthest through like a week. And so like from Texas to Seattle, that was the furthest that a team had to travel. And I it's not it's I mean it is if the Athletics know how to contain this and if they do a good job with containing, I feel like this will blow over shortly. But if we see an outbreak through the entire team and then another team, then unfortunately, again, we'll have to say it, the season is in jeopardy. But I'm hoping that does not happen because we are heating up into different division fights. We saw the White Sox for a day gain first place. And to be honest, the White Sox, after their no hitter last week and all the home runs that they've been hitting, I think 50 something in the month of August. That is crazy. They have looked almost unstoppable.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and I mean, the AL Central is so close, and it gets even closer. In my opinion, I mean the NL East is the closest division in all of baseball, but I think the AL Central is probably the most competitive division in baseball because just look at there's 4 teams in the race. You can scratch the Royals right by now, but still, dude, the race is so crazy. Like the Tigers are one spot away. They are one spot away from getting that AC. That's crazy to think about. And it's just like all these teams are fighting for playoff position. The expansion is so beautiful. I think this playoff format should be permanent.
Here to stay. That is interesting. I wouldn't blame you. I feel like another thing that a lot of people are saying should stay is the runner on second in extra innings because honestly, from what people have seen and what I've seen, it is not that easy to win a game with a runner starting off on second base in extra innings. We've seen games go into 13 innings because they
Uh-huh.
can't get the person to score, or maybe they score and then the other team scores. It makes extra innings in the game very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And did you see Yadier Molina's blunder last night, man?
I didn't. What happened?
Oh man, Yadier Molina made a huge mistake. So the batter, Yadier Molina is on third base. He is on third base. The Indians are up 2-1. The Cardinals are looking to drive home Molina for the tie. And the batter who was at the plate, I forgot who was up to bat, but he hit a chopper, a ground ball down the right side. And you know how you hit those balls to the first base bag
Hmm.
and it stays fair,
Hmm.
and basically the first baseman has a really easy play on their hands.
Yeah.
Yadier Molina thought it was a foul ball, and he was just standing in the
Mm.
middle of the base path between third and home, thinking that it was a foul ball, and he was slowly walking back to third base. But then he sees the first baseman running to him at full speed with the ball in his hand, and he's just like, what's going on? Isn't it a foul ball?" And then Molina, he starts to realize that it wasn't a foul ball, and then he starts literally just jogging back to third base like it's nothing. Then when he knows he's in a rundown, he starts trying to run to home plate. Then he just turns around trying to pull a Josh Bell. And I'm just like, dude, come on, man. And then he got caught in the rundown. The game was over then. He got tagged out for the final out.
It's in my opinion, I feel like you as a baseball player, you have to be most aware of your surroundings because in other sports we have whistles, but in baseball, the only way you know that it's fair is if the umpire points his arm inside the baseline. And that you just have to stay aware, and it's very frustrating when you see a player make a mental mistake like that. And Hey, if I was the Cardinals fan, I would not be happy with Yadier Molina.
No, man, it's sad too because the Cardinals had just turned what was it, 3-8-2 double play? I think
Yeah,
it
I
was
did.
three
I
two
saw
eight.
that. I saw that.
That was crazy. Molina, this was the game. I think this is the game after Molina sniped somebody at second base. Oh,
Yadier
beautiful.
Molina is definitely one of the best catchers in the league and has been for the past almost 20 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, minus his base running, it's really, it's. I mean, his job is to be a catcher. I mean, catchers they're supposed to be kind of the more powerful guys. At least that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I saw it and I was like, oh no, Yadier, no, it's a fair ball. I'm looking at the highlight and I'm just like, Yadi, it's a fair ball. Go back to third base. The dude is running at you with the ball in his hand, ready to tag you for the win. Go back to third base.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But real quick, I do want to acknowledge my favorite player, Miguel Cabrera, because he yesterday he moved into the top 50 in hits, home runs, and RBIs in his entire
Whew.
career. That that is impressive. He joined the list of names like Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Alex Rodriguez, Frank Robinson, Cal Ripken Jr., Albert Pujols, so many other names, so many other legends. Miguel Cabrera, he is a legend, no doubt.
I know you have got to be ecstatic about that because that Miguel Cabrera, obviously, I feel like he's one of my most underrated players because I don't get to watch him very often,
Yeah,
but I just hear the greatness, and I'm just like, man, this dude absolutely goes crazy
yeah.
throughout his career.
Yeah, obviously his career has slowed down quite a bit, but I just remember him winning back-to-back AL MVPs and even a triple crown. He is definitely one of the best to ever swing a bat in the MLB.
Man, it's that is amazing, man. I mean, I applaud Cabrera, man. That's very that is a milestone.
Yeah.
That is a milestone. I mean, yeah, it will only seem fitting if he pushes the Tigers into the playoffs this year.
I'm ready. Come on, Miggy. I also love Miggy because he is probably the funniest player in the MLB. Recently, you know how catchers call timeouts right before the
Mhm,
pitcher pitches a ball. It's
mhm.
always funny because recently I've noticed that you know how some pitchers may be mad if like the player calls timeout because it kind of messed up their rotation and whatever. So every time that a catcher calls timeout, Miguel Cabrera makes sure the pitcher knows that it was the catcher and not him. He like just continuously points at the catcher until the pitcher notices. Miguel Cabrera, funniest player in the MLB, no question.
Wow, I wish I could see that live one time, man. Because you don't see too many funny moments in baseball. Unfortunately, everybody's so I don't know why, but it's like it's so serious sometimes, and it's just like, bro, it's a game of baseball, and it doesn't hurt to have a friendly conversation when you're at first base and you're just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
It's not like now unless you're you know in danger of getting picked off, okay, maybe you should keep your mouth shut. But dude, if you're standing on the bag and the dude is looking at you and it's just a boring at bat, doesn't hurt to have a conversation with the base runner if you're a baseman.
Hey, like players like Freddie Freeman or Anthony Rizzo, both of them very funny guys, and I always enjoy listening to them being mic'd up and talking to players on first. So funny.
Freddie Freeman literally called the dude's name, the shortstop's name, trying to throw him off, trying to rattle him. And as he slid into second base, but he tapped the bag, and Freddie Freeman's like, "That wasn't enough to scare you." I was done, dude.
Yeah,
I was
I,
done.
I love seeing funny moments in baseball.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Now, one thing I am awaiting to see, I'm awaiting a funny walk off celebration. Like, I know it might not be, happening this year because of the pandemic, but dude, I always imagine what would happen if I hit a walk off home run. I would have like done some like slept on home plate, do something like absolutely dive on home plate, like do a long jump on the home plate and then get mobbed. I would have done some funny things, man.
Dude, it's all fun and games till the pitcher next game throws at your head, dude. I would just I would feel like a pitcher would be upset if he did something like that.
Oh my gosh, the pitcher should be already in the at least in his dugout.
Yeah, you would think until that celebration surfaced around ESPN and then the pitcher sees it, he's like, nope, nope, I'm not letting that happen again.
Oh my god, especially if it's a reliever.
Dude, yeah,
Oh man,
relievers do not play. They are always the most feisty pitchers.
yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but dude, it's just like that stuff is crazy. But yeah, I definitely I definitely would bring more flair to baseball. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, but the MLB is talking about a bubble for the playoffs now, aren't they?
Yeah, that is interesting because I was watching the Tigers and the Cubs, and they brought this up. They said that the league is in discussion with Union about potential postseason controlled sites. So what that means is that during the postseason, American League, they will be playing their games in Southern California, and for the National League, they will be playing their games in Texas. And then all that comes around when potentially the World Series will be played at the Rangers' new ballpark. So, uh, that was very interesting to me because they couldn't do that during the regular season. But now you're thinking you saw the NHL and the NBA do so well with their bubble, and now you're like, oh, maybe that will work. So I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, a little late to the party,
Yeah.
but I wonder. Hold on, let me take a moment because I've seen pictures of Globe Life Field before. I wonder what it looks like inside.
A little subtle flex, but it's a pretty nice stadium inside. I
Huh?
later for maybe one of my story times, I will tell the story of how I actually toured the ballpark this summer. But that is
Huh?
for another day. It is a very very beautiful ballpark.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that'll give me more intrigue for watching a World Series at Globe Life Field. Yay! Yay! But seriously though, I this is another case of the league trying to push itself. Like, dude, if I'm the MLB, dude, if I'm doing a playoff bubble, dude, have one league play their games in Houston and the other play their games in Arlington.
Yeah, that makes sense. And not even Texas though, because Texas was one of the worst states for COVID cases. So,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, I don't know what they're thinking there. I mean, maybe it's better by the time October comes, but it may not be the best decision to play games in Texas.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they could try. I mean, I would think somewhere in the central. They have to go somewhere in the middle of the United States so teams don't have to do a boatload of traveling. Like, you don't want the World Series.
I know.
If the Dodgers make it to the World Series, you don't want freaking World Series in, you know, let's say Philadelphia or Atlanta. You don't want teams making cross country trips like that in a pandemic.
I have the best idea. We saw teams like the Marlins go out clubbing, and then they all got COVID, and then the Cardinals went out and they went to a casino, and then they got COVID. And so, you know what would be interesting to see? I would like to see them go to somewhere in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere. Just
No,
just so
no.
there's no distractions whatsoever. Let's say um where would be an interesting place to go for a
Uh,
bubble?
uh that I would say that Field of Dreams, but
I
I don't know about that one.
Dude, that would be actually really interesting. I would watch a playoff series there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
They were planning. Yeah, that would be interesting,
yeah,
dude.
they were planning to play there, as you were about to say. I think that's next year, or maybe they're still doing it this year. I doubt it, but I would like to see a different bubble other than Texas because I feel like if your and if your point is to get players from not contracting this virus, why would you go to one of the hot spots in the U.S.?
Exactly. And Texas is such a big state. You know they're prone for those cases and stuff. And there's cases that aren't exactly reported, so you can't just go
Yeah,
based off the numbers. You
Yeah.
know, so eh, I mean, doing a bubble in Texas, I strongly wouldn't advise that. I think a better option, a better, more logical option for this league in particular, would be to maybe have the bubble here in Chicago.
I was just about to say the exact same thing because there's two teams and they're both pretty close. I mean, they're both in Chicago and like it's not Arlington to Houston. So I mean that is a good point. I definitely I feel like that is something that they should take into consideration. I mean I'm sure fans would love to see a World Series at Wrigley Field again.
Yeah, again, and that's the thing. Both the ballparks here in Chicago, they have it's pretty historical.
Yeah,
Obviously Wrigley Field is Wrigley Field, but guaranteed rate field. That's a really good looking stadium.
uh, I
At least from
agree.
what I see.
Yeah, I've been there multiple times. Beautiful field. I love it.
Yeah, dude. So I know the league wouldn't be too mad, but oh no, wait, we might have to, we I think we prefer going into the indoor stadiums, the domes. Let's go to the domes in Texas.
Yeah, and that's interesting because real quick, off topic, the apparently Texas is almost like required or almost obligated to have indoor stadiums because of the heat, which is interesting. You don't really think about why every single team is in a dome. I just think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I gotta really examine these stadiums because it feels like the MLB has the most dome stadiums.
Yeah, maybe you're probably right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not too
dude.
sure.
Yeah, I got to think about it because obviously the NBA and the NHL you have to play indoors.
Yeah,
The NFL, uh, I'm going to examine that after we get off this podcast. That's really interesting.
yeah, that
Um,
is.
wow. Hmm. But anyways, dude, the playoff races, the picture did change just a little bit. We saw the Phillies enter the field. Um, as the AC, we saw the Brewers
Big game
enter the
tonight
field
for the
too.
Phillies
Oh yeah,
against
big game.
the
I
Braves.
don't know why, but it feels like it's always the same Sunday night baseball matchups.
Dude,
Like we've had,
I thought the same thing.
it's crazy, dude. I'm just sitting here like I hear the same thing. Give us baseball, Braves, Phillies. I'm like Braves, Phillies again.
Dude, it seems like the Braves are always on Sunday night baseball.
Exactly. They were on Sunday night baseball to start the season.
I mean, I'm fine with seeing Ronald Acuna and um, Ozzy Albies and Freddie Freeman. I don't mind that, but I just feel like they're almost uh wasting all like the you could have I mean I wouldn't say the Braves are too bad, but I would like to see maybe the Blue Jays play in Buffalo for a Sunday night baseball game. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, especially if it's a crucial playoff game.
Yeah.
Well, crucial game for a playoff race.
Yeah.
But dude, seriously, Tampa Bay has the best record in the American League. Oakland is right behind. Cleveland is right there. Chicago is 20-13. Detroit is in the playoff race. Give me some variety.
I'd like to see different stadiums too. I mean, I wouldn't say that I just feel like they're using up the Braves and the Phillies too much. I would rather see other teams in different ballparks.
Yeah, you tell me, man. It's something. It's just something about the MLB that just has to irk me. Has to irk me. Yeah, this stuff is crazy, man. But speaking of crazy, I did ask a trivia question last week about video games, actually,
Yeah, could you repeat the question?
with pleasure. So last week I asked, who are the only two football players to make the cover of both NCAA football and Madden?
Dude, that was a good question, and I heard from some of the fans that they were thinking Michael Vick, and I thought that was a pretty good guess.
Yeah, that's a really good guess, but that would be an incorrect one, though.
There's been so many players. I think you should just go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, there's been so obviously, like you said, there's been so many players in college football that have actually had good careers both in college and the NFL. So many, it's crazy. But the answer is Larry Fitzgerald and Sean Alexander.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of people they really didn't see Larry play in college. So
Mhm.
that was a good question though. I wouldn't have guessed Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and it's funny because Fitzgerald, obviously we know him for being that Hall of Famous wide receiver, but people look at Sean Alexander and we're like, who's this guy? But he played for Alabama, and then he was predominantly with the Seahawks. He was best known for his, playing for the Seahawks. Took him to a Super Bowl. He was a really good running back
What
then.
year?
Um,
NCAA football.
yeah, I was just about to get into that. Sean Alexander was on the cover of NCAA Football 2001,
Hmm.
and then he was on the cover of Madden 2007.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, yeah. And as for Larry Fitzgerald, he was on the cover of NCAA Football 2005, and then he shared the cover on Madden 10 with Troy Polamalu.
Interesting. Dude, yeah, that was a very interesting trivia question.
You know how I come with it.
All right, shall I get into mine for this week?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so on the topic of college football, what is the oldest rivalry in all of college football? This is actually probably an easy one. So we'll give the fans a break um with the hard ones, and we'll give them an easy question. What is the oldest rivalry in all of college football?
Ooh, all of college football, not just Division One. All of college football, all of it. Ooh, that's big history book stuff.
Yeah, for this one, the only advice I'd give you is thinking about not who has had the best teams, but who has had like the oldest teams who have been at who has had college football for a while. What two teams have been playing for hundreds of years?
Ugh. You would think Rutgers because that's the origination of college football, but I gotta look into this.
It's a good question. I definitely say it's been easier than some of the few that we've asked in the prior weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely it still has its challenge though. It still has its challenge.
Yeah.
Whew. But man, we've covered a lot today, and I do mean a lot. 5 different topics. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was again a pretty exciting episode. Obviously not too much too much crazy stuff has really happened this week, but next week again we got college football coming back. We have again NHL coming down to its final stretch, NBA heating up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I correct myself. Not 5 topics, 6 of them. Yee, whoa, we had a lot to talk about, man. And obviously, with the addition of high school football on ESPN, because I feel like I'm going to see much more high school football nationwide on ESPN. Now that the whole season has been kind of upended by some of the postponements and stuff. So hey, I'm open for it. I feel perfectly fine watching close games with teams and players that I have never heard of.
I guess that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, definitely, man. But same time next week.
Yes, sir. And that has been top of the standings. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Listen to us on Spotify. Uh, follow us on all of our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And thank you guys for listening once again. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.